Hey guys, I am back for a little round two of the keychain that I've been working on, that UV Resin Keychain. So I have it here. It's looking so good. You'll notice there's some little rough edges, which I knew there would be. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy Dremel tool. It's only going to probably take a very fine touch just to go around. And I apologize, the noise is not the funnest noise probably on a video, but I wanted to show you the full process of what I do. So just getting in that little kind of corner area right there. And this just takes a little bit of practice. It's not really hard though. I would suggest when working with your Dremel tool that you wear your protective gear. Just you don't want to be breathing in all this dust from the resin. And I'm just rubbing my fingers around it just to feel how rough it feels, if it feels like it needs any other smoothing out. Kind of have a funky bump kind of going right here. So I'll just smooth that out. And yeah, it feels pretty good. So we'll turn this little guy off, put him aside. I am going to wipe this off. There's nothing on this paper towel. No alcohol, nothing. Just wiping that dust off so that we don't have that dust on there. Alrighty. And you might remember we did this little heart here with the extra resin. It feels pretty good. I'm going to put one more layer. I think we might do the same thing. I'm going to just pop it out here while we're on video. Let's just do it. So he's been sitting there since I did the first video, which has been actually a few days. So he's nice and solid, fully cured, and these little pieces just come right on off. If they didn't, I could definitely take the Dremel and Dremel those down. The hole does look a little bit filled in, so taking this tool, it went right through. It just must be a glob in front of it. So there's that. Alright, so you can see the edges are all cleaned up. It just took a little bit of wiping with my finger and just pop it basically right off. I didn't have to use the Dremel, so that one was nice. I'm going to put a dome on this side. I probably put a layer on this side. I don't mind that it's flat, but it's showing some fingerprints on it, and I just want to shine it up so that it's not showing those reflective fingerprints. So I'll put a little dome on it too. So we're going to dome both of these with our handy dandy clear UV resin from Counterculture DIY. As you know by now, we also have our UV light. And with this one, we're just going around and around, nice thin layer. Make sure that we put a bunch in there. I do get messier with this. I didn't grab finger cuts, but I have a glove here. So I'm going to grab that and put on at least one finger. The other finger's other hand's gonna have a tool in it, so it won't need it so much. And all I'm doing is pushing this resin to the edge so that it can come to the edge, and then resin's always going to go to your center, but when we're doing UV resin, you're not letting it just sit there for hours on end, so it's not going to have much time to move around once you place it. Nice thing about this little guy, I don't think I'm going to have to resin up the sides like I did the first one, because he didn't have a ton of messy edges, so I didn't have to do any crazy dremeling on the sides that need cleaned up, which is awesome because that takes a lot of fine detail work. Alright. And if you see my head, I apologize just for a second, but I need to make sure that I got everywhere. and didn't leave any little spot empty of resin. And I just got a new phone holder for holding my phone for these tutorials. Super excited by it because it definitely is gonna, you can probably see, you can see more of my workspace now just because it's up higher. And there are a couple little micro bubbles, or little bubbles. We can use our little ladder maybe to pop a couple of these bigger ones. If I had a ton of small ones, I'd probably spritz it with a little rubbing alcohol, but it honestly doesn't look so bad. So I'm going to go ahead and slide him just under the light for our 60 seconds while I fill in the heart. Heart is not going to take very much at all. Probably just do like a little partial U or C, whichever way you're looking at it, depending on. And then again, just getting to the edges. I don't want it to go over the edges. I don't want that resin flowing over, but I do want it up against the edges to give us that dome effect. And I want it spread out evenly. And there was a big bubble who decided to come out of the bottle. So again, it's just a quick dab the flame on it and back up, because you do not want to light your resin on fire. That is not a fun experience. I've had a couple close calls. Some people use torches. I have not with my resin work. Make me a little bit nervous having that big of a flame, but it's not something I'm opposed to doing. Just a little more nervous. Alright, we're going to slide this under. Our light also turned off because it went the 60 seconds. But I'm going to keep the keychain piece under there just because I think it's probably going to need that extra minute to go ahead and get really solid for us. Because again, we're working with that UV resin and it needs, the light has to be able to get through it to cure it. And then while we're waiting, I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup at my space. And my bottle is really dirty, so I wanted to clean it up here. So I just put a little rubbing alcohol on my napkin, and I'm just going to take that around my bottle so that I can get some of this resin undone. And I wouldn't do that normally. I'm not doing it every time, but just it finally has gotten bad enough. It needs a little extra cleanup. And then, of course, I have a glove on, which makes a big difference. My lid's pretty dirty, but that's fine. At least it's on there. I'm not even sure why I put the lid on because we're going to need it again. But hey, you know, I'm going to take this side. Oh, yeah. It is nice. Oh, that one's tacky. That one definitely stuck. Okay, so we're going to slide you back under. And then, oh, yeah, feels good. The front of this, I like to go ahead and dome the front. Reason for it is because we have that funky lip in here. I like, for the extra support, go ahead and throw some resin in that. Also around the letter, there's a little divot and crease that is there. I like to just fill that in, give a full dome, shines this up, no fingerprints. Kind of gives that fresh finished look. And I just feel like, and this could just be me and my perfectionist side of things, but I feel like it would be more sturdy by having all those divot areas filled in, because it's a more solid piece and not a chance of maybe a piece breaking off at some point. So I'm going to move this resin around. I got a little bit close to the edge over here, but I'm hoping that divot is just going to soak it up and not let that resin run over. Oh, it's looking really good. I like the colors she chose for this. Alrighty. I don't think there's, maybe one bubble there. A little hard to tell because the mica flakes. Maybe one there. And actually shining this just above it allows me to see if there's any. And then when I see one, go ahead and pop down and grab it. I don't want to use the side that I just put resin on with, just because I don't want to get resin on the side of that. And then let's see, oh, this is much better. Still could maybe use, like, oh, I just dropped it. Could still use maybe just a light bit of resin on it, and so I might do just a really thin layer. Decisions. Let's just do like probably not even half of what we did before, but just a smidge, if that's even possible. Let's see here. Trickiest part is UV resin is a little bit thicker, so it's not going to level out as quick. But because you're curing it so quickly, you want to make sure that you have it pretty well leveled as much as you can, so that you don't cure a funky mountainous cave or mountain range, or an indention cave or something in your resin, to where it gives a really funny feel, unless that's what you're going for, of course. Alrighty. I think that looks pretty good. I think it coated it about perfect. Alright. Slide this guy through the mat here, up and under. I left the keychain under just because I want it to go ahead and get that second round on the top. And then we're going to add some good old-fashioned keychain tools to it. So I'm going to go grab those tools while that is running, and I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Got our tools, and this is done. Let's test our, I love when it comes out like that. This one definitely might need a little more time. He's struggling to get, but that was also only his second time on that side. All right, so while he's under there, we're gonna take a look at this. You might remember this handy dandy jump ring tool. It's my favorite little thing when working with jump rings. I do have a jump ring over here. So here's our jump ring. Here's my pliers. I grab onto the, I like these kind. They're flat. They're not super pointy. They allow me to grip that jump ring really well. Stick that jump ring in the tool just to open him up. And then he's going to get, for lack of a better word, threaded. So my pliers are kind of in the way. Through there. So now that's hanging. I go ahead and add the keychain as well. And then we use our tool again to help us close said jump ring and get it closed. Now, something I super love doing, just because I want to ensure the integrity of the jump ring. Anytime you work with a jump ring, that jump ring can end up getting compromised in its in the metal just because you're twisting it. So there's just a little bit of resin. I don't even know if you can tell on the camera, but there's a little bit of resin on the tip of this. So I'm just going to take that little bit of resin, and I'm just it's not going to take much, but just a little bit to go in to the crack of that jump ring. And we will throw that under there. Even 30 seconds, I'm sure, is all it needs to go ahead and cure that up, because that will give extra support to our jump ring. I'm all about making sure that you're giving a quality product to, even if you're just doing something for yourself or to family and friends, that it does have some quality and it's going to hold up in everyday life. And if you're like me, I am super tough with my keys, and So I want that to be held up well. Now that jump ring does have a little bit of a gap. Not a gap, but it's just not lined up as pretty as I would like it to be. And it just might not. No matter what I do, that just might be how it be. Okay. Now this back, there's a mica flake that's not attached to that. That was just on my mat. The back, I'm going to go ahead and do one more very thin layer, kind of like I did with the heart. And I'm going to, while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and just put a good amount right in the hole of where this jump ring is. And I'm going to turn that crack of that jump ring right into the hole. Trick with this is you want to make sure your jump ring now stays pretty much in the position it's in, because you're going to put that under that UV light and that's going to seal right on up. And you don't want it to be on there crooked, because I don't think you'd get it off. I think you'd have to live with it being crooked. I do say that every mistake is fixable. You just sometimes got to get a little creative. But I don't know if that one would really be something you'd want to try fixing. You probably get it out. You might lose your piece though. So, and if you've gotten this far, you don't want to lose your piece off of something silly. I would at that point live with it being crooked. It'd bug me, don't get me wrong. And I think I need just a little more on here, because it just doesn't seem like it's spreading nicely. It's almost like I could tell that I just didn't have enough to spread and I was shorting an area. And again, if that's kind of what you're going for, is more of a textured back, then you could do that and leave it that way. But I'm going for very smooth. There's definitely some bubbles in this round. Okay. And this one, I'm not going to move it because I got the jump ring perfect. So I'm going to bring my light over to it. And much better. Oh, yes, this heart is so sweet. Now, while that is doing its thing, I'm going to get the front of this heart, or the back. I don't know. Each side looks really cute. So really with this one, it could be versatile. And I am going to attach it to this keychain. Oh, the resin as it's coming out is creating these bubbles. There we go. Let's see here. Go ahead and get around the edge. Definitely going to have to throw the flame on that, because there is a nice double bubble right there. Oh, there was another one that I hadn't seen, but it popped it. Yay! Let me see about moving this. I spilt a little bit of resin on the mat, so I just didn't want to get him under or push him through that. The mat will be fine. Although I can either wipe it up or throw the UV light on and pop that piece off. UV resin that will not cure on the mat, or it would take a really long time, so I just wipe it up. Alrighty, this is so exciting. Need one more jump ring. So we're going to put that heart on there. And then this little guy, I think, is going to be super cute and done. Coming along, coming along. Great thing about UV resin is you could do it all year round. I mean, ideally, you want your room or workspace to be a good temperature to where you're not too cold or too hot. But I could do this all winter. The house is going to stay at a pretty decent temperature because we have heat. And because of that, then we can continue resin projects, because we will be able to continue that on even in the winter. And Feels pretty good. It is a little tacky. And I noticed a little something, and I don't know if the camera will catch this, but that resin leaked through where that jumping hole is. So what I'm going to end up doing is probably throw another layer on top of here and just help hide that. You won't notice it because it's clear unless you got really close to it. Like I said, I don't even know if the camera is catching it, but just in case. And that little heart, I'm going to just do one more time as well. That way it's just nice and cured and solid before we add it to the keychain. But I'll also do this front of that and fix that little hiccup. But anyway, what I was saying about the UV resin is because the temperature in the room will stay relatively decent, and because you're curing with the light, I can keep doing UV resin projects all through the winter, which is nice. Regular resin projects, they can be very sensitive to the cold. They can be very sensitive if it's too hot as well. But typically your AC is going to keep you at a relatively normal temperature. But what I would say is in the winter, I try not to pour a lot of coasters, trinkets, resin balls, trays, things that use regular resin, do tumblers, just because I find I can't keep my workspace at a consistent temperature to not avoid mishap. It's very nice. Alright, flip this little guy around. And because that created such a little mountainous spot right there, we're going to basically do like we're doming again. Except we'll be doming on the front. And I went ahead and dabbed some right again where that hole is and where that leaked through, so that we'll have a nice shine on it and you won't even notice, because it kind of was really flat where it leaked through. And I didn't want that to have that look. Oh yeah, that lightened up where I don't have resin right there. I couldn't see that. Let's move some resin right there. Because we're working with such clear and the color behind, sometimes I can't tell. And I'm holding this up a little bit so I'm not down on the keychain by any means. So I'm not getting that flame too close, but it was enough that it gave me light to be able to see, which is awesome. And we'll let this cure again. I threw the heart back under. Doesn't hurt it. It'll help get it really solid. I won't let my daughter put this on her backpack for a few days just because I want that UV resin to finish curing. Give it that 24 or 48 hours at least to just set and really settle in. And then she'll be able to throw it on her backpack and run off with it. Works out. She's on fall break today, or this week, so I won't have to worry about her being anxious to have it. It looks really cute. It's going to look really sweet with that heart on there too. Alright, so now I'll make sure this is a little funky. Maybe it's not funky. Maybe it's just fine. That looks really good. It'll be even better once it hardens up a little bit, because it just feels a smidge tacky still. So I have another jump ring, and I just am looking. I think I'm going to put it on this ring right here. I don't think there's any particular way that says you have to do it one way or another. It's probably all to the person's liking. So slipping that jump ring in, And then I hope this jumpering's big enough. We're gonna make it work. Gonna make it work. But when you're working with a really tiny jumpering and fat fingers or just even bulky gear here with this keychain, it was really not wanting to go. It's still not. So I don't know if you can tell, but in the video, but there's a little gap in the jump ring, so I'm just, without the tool, with my little pliers, I'm just trying to bridge that gap. I'm going to go ahead and do like I did with the last one, just taking a smidge off this top, and I'm going to throw it under the lamp. I don't have it touching the lamp, but I'm just holding it there because I want to make sure that that cures really fast, and then I can show you. Let's see how this came out. Yeah, it's definitely still a little tacky, so this, I love this. It is so cute and sweet. So you might be able to tell just a smidge that the resin didn't come all the way down on that last dome right here. I don't think it's anything to worry about, especially since it's my daughter's. I can also see a little bit of my glove print on here. I didn't, maybe I should have thrown it under the light just one more time to get rid of any tackiness before I was handling it the way I was to put the heart on, but I wanted everybody to see that process. So yeah, there's the little heart and the C and the keychain. So that's with the chain fully tight. I'm glad I didn't go the next one down because I think that heart would have went over the C. But yeah, looks really cute and sweet. So like I said, I will leave that here in the workspace, let that cure. I'm just making sure they're not touching so that for any reason there's no tackiness getting stuck to each other. And I'll just zoom in for y'all to see. Looks so much better in person. The video, I can tell the colors are just a lot darker in the video than they are in real person. This is really pretty blue with the orange, and then the heart is super cute. So yeah, that is UV Keychain Resin tutorial number 2. Hope y'all are enjoying these quick tutorials, and definitely hit me up, comment, like the page, subscribe to YouTube, keep up with me. I'm going to start doing a video a week, some tutorial a week. If there's a particular request you have that you're not sure how to do something, want a quick tutorial on, have a question with resin, holler at me. I'm no expert by any means, but I love what I do, and I would love to pass that knowledge on to others so that they can enjoy as well. Hope you guys are doing great and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.